a lot of self-worth damage within management because people are left without any guidance. They're often doing their best, but they don't know what to do. And that questioning yourself, never being your own friend, constantly having to try and be interesting to the team they're leading and never really interested in the team they're leading, caused me to start thinking about how do I help young managers in particular, people that were like I was, struggling to understand how to become a manager.
Hi everyone and welcome back. Today I am with Stuart. Stuart is in the UK and we've never actually met, but we had a really interesting conversation when we got matched in a breakout room and during the associate training. And I remember we had a few things in common. So I'm really curious. Since then I haven't had a chance to connect with you further. And I'm really interested to hear a little bit more about you and how did you come across the SelfWorth Academy? Like, what was your first breakthrough with SelfWorth?
Yeah, no, we haven't ever met, have we, Amanda? And
No.
sometime soon that will happen. But we're all stuck in our rooms, in our homes, and sometimes that's a problem for our self-worth as well. But let me talk to you a little bit about my background and how I started down this particular journey of trying to understand this. And it starts many years ago when I was a scientist. Actually, I started as doing science degrees and science research, and my research career eventually led me to believe that I wanted to get out into the world and start being a business person and starting to work with businesses. And so I joined a couple of very small consultancies, having convinced them that I understood what I was doing in the world of work. And that left me with an understanding of the fact that I had to do something to get on, but it was never very clear what it was. And I made lots of mistakes and I bumbled around. And eventually, after a number of years, I really, really, really wanted to be a manager. I thought a manager was the thing to aspire to. And so I got myself a job as a manager, and I went into a company and I started being the manager, and I thought, this is it. I've at long last got the job I really, really want. And after a very short space of time, I discovered that it really wasn't quite as fulfilling as I expected. There was an awful lot of things that I thought, well, I didn't know this is what management meant. And it was a job that I wouldn't say I hated, but I certainly thought, this is nothing like what I expected it to be. And it's caused me to question myself and spend many hours sort of reproaching myself about mistakes I made. And nobody ever really sort of taught me that was the right or the wrong way to do it. But I kind of persisted, and eventually I ended up as a fairly senior manager within an organization called BT, which is the operator of the sort of telecoms here in the UK. And my job at BT was to rescue things. I was the person that was sent in when either one of the businesses within BT wasn't working very well, or when they had a major project which wasn't actually working. And I found myself often in the situation where the thing I was doing most was taking people out of their job because it had failed and they hadn't done what they needed to do. And then a year or so after I'd sort of removed something, a layer of managers in order to make things more efficient, I was having to then go back and say, we've got no management around here. Let's promote all of these team leaders to become managers. And those team leaders would sort of say, oh yeah, like I desperately want to be a manager. Please make me a manager. And you make them a manager. And they would go through the same cycle that I did, which is about 8 weeks after they were being made a manager, they would be hugely damaged by, I just didn't know what I was doing. I was questioning myself. And I kept looking at them and saying, I really want to reach out and help you. So that's my journey into sort of discovering that there was a lot of self-worth damage within management because people are left without any guidance. They're often doing their best, but they don't know what to do. And that questioning yourself, never being your own friend, constantly having to try and be interesting to the team they're leading and never really interested in the team they're leading, caused me to start thinking about how do I help young managers in particular, people that were like I was, struggling to understand how to become a manager, with a framework of how to sort of build their own self-worth within their organization, but also build the self-worth of the team that they were leading within the organization. And that was my journey into self-worth, as I began to realize that as managers, we so often don't have self-worth because we're constantly reproaching ourselves. We're trying to be interesting and never interested in the people around us, and largely sort of, trying to do things which are damaging to our self-worth because we never think about the consequences to our own self-worth when we're trying to sort of do our job as a manager.
Wow, that is really interesting to hear that perspective. Thank you for sharing. I can somewhat relate. Like, I wouldn't say I would have been like high up in manager role in my previous life, but there always has been that thing of like I need to do more, and I to prove something, to rise in the level of the ladder, right? Climbing that ladder of success. What are the things that you have discovered and found for the people that you've worked with when you've introduced this concept? Like, what are some of the things that have that you've seen changed in that, maybe not even their their professional life, but also their personal life?
So basically what I do is I sit down with managers and I give them a fairly, I mean, it's a relatively simple, effectively sort of a 4-step process to give them back control of what they're trying to do. And it's largely based around giving them a framework of how they can control a situation that they don't fully understand. So the first is to teach them how to properly give feedback to somebody. So the feedback is not only I need this to be changed, but also this is the sort of thing that I see you doing, which is really good, and helping to guide the behavior of the people they're working with. Secondly, having given them sort of instructions on how to give feedback, I teach them how to delegate. Now, delegation is a hugely important element of being a manager, and knowing how to sort of say, this is something which is important to be done and needs to be done in the right way, and giving that to somebody else to do so that you're no longer having to do it. You can focus your attention on things which really you are the only person that needs to do it. Thirdly, I sit down and I teach them how to be a proper mentor and coach to the people they're working with, so that they can imbue and get them to be better managers themselves, and allow them to sort of step back from doing things that they do. And then I wrap that all up in sort of understanding how to have a sort of a one-to-one meeting each week with those people they're managing. Now, once you put that package together, it's a very simple sort of, as I said, it's a simple set of things to do, but that relieves pressure that you find yourself in a situation where you're going, I no longer have all of these things to do. I know how to delegate some of them, because by being you to concentrate better and you can help promote them. And if you stop looking at it as a competition and saying that you have to do if they don't, but also allows you to stop progress, interesting. Actually, if they progress, you will be seen as the person that's enabled their progression, giving them you will rise quickly through the organisation. Job you are seeing, you're helping them somehow has this genius ability to make these people better than they ever were. So actually stop trying to be the person that's best at everything, but recognize the people around you have got massive talents. Make those talents shine, and somehow that reflected glory will come on you. So it changes your perspective personally from I want to be the best to if my people are better than me, then actually that makes me look good. But it also takes the pressure off you to try and be the best at everything, and you no longer have to try and do everything. You can turn around and go, hey, they're much better than I am, and I'm the manager, believe it or not, and I got this group of people to work like this, so guess who's the clever one? For me, by having this framework where you understand that your self-worth allows you to stop worrying about trying to be the best on your team, to allow you to motivate and move your team further. And that reflects, because you are the manager, people will see the value you deliver to the organization. That takes the pressure off you so that you can actually be the person you need to be, and allows you to stop trying to fret about your work and enjoy your life. Now, I will say that for me, that once again means that you must learn how to properly delegate work to people. You have to understand how to have proper one-on-one communications, and that doesn't mean over text, and it doesn't mean over email. It means sitting down and talking, even in these days where talking is on a video conference, but it means talking and learning how to communicate, and all of the ways in which you have to learn how to communicate with a person. And once you have those skills, suddenly you stop trying to be the important person and you allow the other people around you to be the important people, and then you flourish as a manager.
Well, it's like I said, it's a whole game changer. It lifts the pressure of your shoulders, and wow.
Absolutely. It
Is
does.
this something? Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, is this something that you might be introducing into the SelfWorth Week?
This is exactly the subject of what I'm introducing the SelfWorth Week. And one of the things I wanted to do at the SelfWorth Week is talk about some of the people that I've taken through this process, one of whom is now gone on to become a fairly senior, one is a senior manager at an insurance company. He's become the technical director. There's another one who's founded companies after this. And, you know, their careers started when they were very junior. I mean, I'm only a baby myself, honestly. I'm only 21 and a few months old. But these people worked with me some years ago, and you know, I love watching where they've got to, because as far as I'm concerned, my job as their manager at the time was to recognize their talent and push them into leadership roles, and they now flourish. As I say, I've got directors who've gone on to found companies. These are people who will still ring me and say, I'd like to ask your opinion. And I will often say to them, what on earth do I know about this? You're the guy. And they will, but I value the way you think. And so, you know, even years later, these are still people within my network who will ring me up and ask me, you know, how could I do this better? And I'm thinking, you know, that's just great that they still value getting that sort of input, because they've learned all the way through this that the value of the people around them is actually where their success lies.
And when you have these conversations with them, do you introduce the topic and the word self-worth? Is that something that at the end
Yes.
they get a deeper understanding of what it means?
And one of the things I'm trying to do is get them to introduce the topic into their own organizations, so that what they can do is they can then show to the people they work with how they can stop trying to sort of be constantly reproaching themselves, but get them to sort of be their own best friend, and using those concepts make the whole world, you know, a better place. I mean, as I say, I'm trying to sort of enable them to sort of change the world, you know, one or two people at a time. And if they are only able to influence one or two people, those one or two people go out and influence one or two. Eventually, the workplace will understand that we, as a group, are somehow not allowing our self-worth to become the most important thing in our work.
So important. I had that conversation as well with Sonia about the ripple effect it can have, and especially in leadership positions, like the in a way, like the power we have, and that we can give to everyone around us who we work with. So
yes, yeah, it is important.
Beautiful work. Thank you, Stuart, for sharing. And is there anything, if anyone right now is watching that is in that situation of I want to become a senior director, I want to, wherever they are right now in their careers, would you have any advice for them if they're feeling?
Well, yeah, I'd say two things. One of which is, you know, obviously you can get some more information about some of the stuff that I've been doing at the website that I've just set up, which is www.self-worthmanagement.com. And you can go there and you can see some of the stories that I've just been talking about, and some information to enable people to do that. The other thing I'd say is, John Nyland's book is a great resource, and it does talk an awful lot about how this can be applied. Well done, Amanda. John Nyland's book is a great resource, and it really is something that I've read on several occasions, and pulling nuggets from that and seeing how it applies not only to your personal life but also to your work life, and the two are tied together. No matter how much you want to separate them, they are intimately tied together. So when you find yourself at work, it will reflect upon you personally, but also can affect your family. One of the things I was talking about, sort of getting to know the people that work for you. I once said to one of the people I was coaching, if you don't know the names of the children of the people who work for you, you cannot possibly ask them to stay late on Friday night to get you that report, because you've got to know that it's going to affect little Johnny and little Jane, and it's going to affect the school play that you were due to go and see. So if you don't know their names, and if you don't recognize that you're impacting upon their personal life, you're not really capable of being a manager. And so you cannot break the two apart.
Wow. Yeah. Exactly. Wow. That just paints such a, I see it in front of me, like the picture that you've just shared. So Thank you, Stuart. I look forward to being there with you and everyone else in the SelfWorth week and attending your workshop.
It's going to be good.
Yeah.
It's going to be bright.
Yeah, so many different speakers, all different topics. And mine's going to be a little bit more different. We're going to be moving. So I thank you very much for your time, Stuart, and everyone else.
No problem, Amanda.
Watching, and we hope to see you there. Take care.
Yeah, good stuff. Thank you. Bye-bye, Amanda. Thank you for having me.